What is happening, Raider Nation? Welcome to episode 27 of the Lone Raider Podcast. Thank you very much for tuning in. I'm your host, Jonah J. Train Young. And with me, as always, my good friend, Nathan. How many Eagles fans are crying right now? Zuniga. What's up, Zuniga?
Not enough, I guess. I don't know, man. I don't care. They lost already. It is what it is. I mean,
You
it's on to
know,
the next season. It's on to free agency and
yeah,
the
it's
draft.
truly it
So
in the draft. So, but good to see that you're doing well, man. Joining us today, as always, we got Mr. 210 himself, Nesto Martinez. What's up, Nesto?
What's up? What's up? I'm just chilling.
Awesome, man. Glad to hear it. Glad to hear it. On this week's episode, we got a lot to recap. Everything from NFL honors to the Super Bowl to Tech basketball, some realignment news, and then, of course, we're going to do a Texas Tech baseball preview in this episode. So gonna be pretty lengthy. Gonna have a lot of substance in this one. Before we get into all of that, though, I want to remind y'all to go follow our social media accounts. That is at Lone Raider Pod on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. You can stream us on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Google Podcasts, Amazon Music, or check out our pretty faces on YouTube. I think I'm only gonna air the podcast on YouTube when it's all three of us. So if you see like just if there's two of us and that are recording that day, I'm not going to post on YouTube. But if you've been following us on social media the last week or so, you know that we have had some news drop about a certain partnership that we have now formed. That's right. The Lone Raider Podcast is no longer alone anymore. We're officially powered by the South Plainsmen. We are very thrilled to join them and know that they are in our corner. They produce a lot of really great content, really helping us branch out and keep on growing this podcast. You can go ahead and follow them on Twitter and Instagram at South Plainsmen, to which we're also going to be doing a lot of Twitter Spaces in conjunction with the South Plainsmen, typically about pre-game shows about basketball, and then maybe some post-game shows about baseball as we kick off the baseball season coming in, man. So yeah, we are really thrilled to join them, and yeah, we just can't wait to keep moving forward and keep interacting with you guys and keep on growing this podcast. So yeah, with that said, though, let's go ahead and jump right on into some news updates, my friends. So, from the NFL honors that took place this past Thursday, I want to say, about a week ago, former Texas Tech Red Raider Zach Thomas has been inducted into the NFL Hall of Fame, rightfully so. This is a man who's had to wait quite a while for virtually no reason, to be honest with you. And yeah, I'm just glad to see that he's finally getting his time. He's getting his placards. He's going to go in the Hall of Fame. Very thrilled for Zach Thomas. And on the same night, Patrick Mahomes II took home his second MVP. But yeah, man, you guys got any thoughts on that? We'll go ahead and move on to this one, man. But yeah, big shout out to Patrick Mahomes. I think he was really undoubtedly the league MVP this year. I think there's probably a case for Jalen Hurts, but he didn't play all 17 games. So I think that was kind of didn't go in his favor because of that. So yeah, you guys got any thoughts? Love to hear it, man. Anybody?
I'll,
Anybody?
chirps,
Patrick Mahomes is
chirps. Yeah.
one of the players that is probably going to be an MVP candidate for the rest of his life. Like as far as he's and then a little in the NFL, I mean, every year he can be the MVP. I feel like.
Yeah,
You
I
might get
wouldn't
the
argue
LeBron
that.
effect, to be honest with you. If I'm being honest, you might get the LeBron effect, where he's
Oh,
just so good
We're
every
so good.
year, where they're not going to give it to him because like, oh, that's Patrick Mahomes. We expect that. You know what I mean? He might get that treatment now going forward. Who knows? Brady got it for a little bit. I'm pretty sure. I mean, you could argue Drew Brees got it for a little bit.
yeah, he
I
did
mean,
definitely. I
Drew
mean,
Brees never got an MVP. I know Jonah likes to bring that up all the time.
I know it's he got snubbed a
So,
few times, man.
so when you set the standard, it's kind of, I don't know, it might not mean as much, which is incredible to say because like the standard is already so high. But yeah, no. I will present the argument. Is he already better than Eli Manning? 100%.
Oh yeah, I
Patrick
mean,
Mahomes.
I
Okay.
yeah,
mean,
Ben Roethlisberger. Is he better than Ben Roethlisberger right
Yeah.
now? Patrick Mahomes,
Yeah.
100%.
I mean,
It's wild. It's
I feel like you're getting at like, is he already a Hall of Famer? And that's true. Yes, with everything he's accomplished so far in his career, at the age of 27, he is definitely a Hall of Famer.
I think the argument that I want to know is like, where is he right now at QB rankings? Like, he's already top 10.
No doubt.
Yeah, I wouldn't disagree with you there if you want to put him in the top 10 all time. I mean, he has the accolades, any I think one thing that would keep him out would be the career accolades because he just hasn't gotten there yet. I don't think that's anything on his fault. He will get there when the time comes, like 7, 8, 9, 10 years from now. He'll definitely be I'd say even top 5 at that point. Depending on how many Super Bowls he wins, how many more MVPs he gets, what all his accolades will become. So yeah, I think he's already in that conversation.
It's wild to think about. He's not even 30.
I know.
It's not even 30. That's crazy. He already has more now than Russell Wilson did at his age. And Russell Wilson had probably the last great defense, in my opinion.
Last great defense. Yeah, I
Yeah,
wouldn't.
like last historically great defense. Yeah, I'd say Russell Wilson was like the last QB to have that.
The Super Bowl run or just in general?
Just in general, I think to keep it up for a season and into a postseason run, I can't remember another defense that like I remember that time where like people didn't watch Seahawk games because they were considered boring because the defense was so good and no one would score.
Yeah, no, I get you, man. But yeah, we're very happy for Zach Thomas getting to the Hall of Fame, and of course Patrick Mahomes. But speaking of that, let's go ahead and talk about that Super Bowl, man. Let's talk about the some reactions, man, to it. So kind of let's start with you, Zuni. Overall thoughts about the game and the outcome of it and your reaction to it. Just kind of go ahead and take off from there, man.
It was a good game. I enjoyed it thoroughly. Of course, I'm going for Kansas City in this game. I wouldn't have been upset at all had Philly won another Super Bowl. It would have been cool. Because I think Jalen Hurts is a cool guy. So I do like him. But I mean, it's Patrick Mahomes. I'm gonna root for him always if in whatever game, unless he's playing my team. I might just like not watch that game. But um yeah, no, it was a great game. A lot of high scoring affairs, a lot of drama. It was 24-14 at halftime. Eagles are in the driver's seat. And then, Patrick Mahomes did what Patrick Mahomes does, with the help of a great like run game and great formations by Andy Reid. Like some of those are super creative. Some of the ways he got the ball out, like running wise, but to his playmakers at wide receiver. It was pretty cool to see, just to see how they did their version of swing runs and sweeps. So that was cool. And yeah, he did it on basically broken ankles, so that's even more impressive, which is kind of why it's like the argument's already there for top 10, maybe 5. Who knows? Who knows?
Yeah.
But yeah, it was fantastic. Obviously the call at the end, everyone wants to talk about it. I mean, it is what it is. It's already been called. I don't know what to do. I don't know what to tell you. If you're still hurting about it, I point to Jonas still hurting about that conference championship years ago. The no PI call. So I guess either you live to accept with it, either live with it and accept it, or just be incredibly pissed off the rest of your life. I don't know what to tell you guys if you're an
I
Eagles
chose
fan.
the latter. Uh,
Yeah, so that's all I can really say. It sucks. It would have been cool to see another overtime game in Super Bowl history because that would have been the second one. The first one was the Atlanta one with the Patriots, and we know how that went.
yeah. Yeah, that
So
28-3 game. Yeah. Last time,
yeah,
first and only time I've ever rooted for Atlanta to win, and last time I'll ever root for Atlanta to win. So yeah, I definitely remember that Super Bowl. But yeah, Nesto, got any thoughts on this game, your reactions to it?
Um, Regarding the whole holding call, I guess my question to y'all is when is the right call the wrong call? And if that's a situation that should just be like kind of like an unwritten rule, if that makes sense.
I
Yeah,
see what
I
you're getting
understand
at.
that.
I guess you're saying if you were in New York, right? You're in that booth that does the extra calls, like from afar? Are you
Mhm.
telling the ref to pick up the flag? Are you just gonna be like, hey, whatever you saw, just pick up the flag. Just pick it up.
Well, 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 I'm just like my whole opinion on that thing is just like, that's probably that gets called in something that gets called in the first quarter, right?
Hmm.
Why wouldn't it get called in the fourth quarter? I know the game is good, but like the call is still right. It's correct. It's not a bad call. And it's so I guess I'm asking like why is everybody like so angry? But I still don't understand why everybody's like saying that was a bad call. I don't think it was a bad call at all.
Yeah, I
You also
definitely
say this as a Cowboys fan. I'm just pointing that out there.
yeah, I was gonna bring that up. I was like, yeah, there's no bias in the air, right?
So
Oh man.
look,
But
it sucks because it would have been cool to see more football. But I mean, I'm happy with the result. Like, I still got a good game. I'm just happy it wasn't a blowout. Like, that would have been boring.
yeah, I mean, there's really only ever been, like one blowout Super Bowl I've ever witnessed, and that was, of course, Seattle's.
Yeah.
But yeah, that was just an atrocious game. But
They happen a lot in the '90s, apparently.
yeah, I mean, yeah, there was a few. I think Buffalo was one of them. Buffalo and Dallas was one of them. I think
I'm pretty sure the Niners blew
yeah, like
out
the
whoever they played.
Niners, yeah, that was a blowout. But yeah, I mean, thankfully, we live in an era where we get to see these close Super Bowl games, and this one was definitely one for the ages, in my opinion. This was really good, just a really good overall game, and I thought as far as the officiating is concerned, they were they're letting the guys play. They're letting them play out. They were letting some things go. They were making the right calls when they needed to be made. But it does look like, hey, on this historic Super Bowl game, like that was an all timer in my opinion. That's gonna be up there, in all time Super Bowl games played, regardless if you were like a fan of the teams or not. That was a wonderful game, and you
Yeah, it
love
was
watching
back
that,
and forth.
especially the two best teams in the league, undoubtedly, unquestionably the best teams in the league going at it, and they have that kind of performance out there. It was truly entertaining from start to finish. Jalen Hurts is that dude. I think he's going to be a problem for a lot of teams in the future. And yeah, he'll I think eventually get his. If they continue to build around him, the Eagles do. But just kind of fell up on the short end of it. And that call that we were talking about really left a little bit of a blemish on what was considered to be an all-time Super Bowl. And granted, looking back, there's so many, like, one play does not define an entire game. In that moment, it does, and it feels like it does. But like, there's so many moments you could have made another play. You could have, the receiver could have called a pass, got a first down, or done something like that. Like one
But
call does not affect the outcome of an entire
you
game.
you don't
Like in that moment,
you don't let a 66 like yard punt return, like
yeah,
something like that,
you don't let
like
that
something like
happen.
that. Yeah, you
You
gotta
know,
win two phases of the game, gentlemen. You
Oh,
can win on
but
offense, defense, specials. You only gotta win two. Only two. They lost two, therefore the Eagles lost. Say, there you go. Both
yeah,
teams were losing a defense, and one had a shittier special team. So that's kind of what it resulted. That's kind of how I look at the game, to be honest with
yeah, I think that's definitely a fair way to
you.
look at it. But and as a fan of the Saints during that time, that no call that we had, I'm just gonna
So,
say the same thing
somehow
that you
he
guys
still
kept on
brings it
saying
up.
to us,
Somehow
everything
he still
that
brings it
every other
up.
fan base kept on saying to us, like, hey, quit crying, get over it. So I'm keeping that same energy. Hey, quit crying,
But
get over it.
Jonah
That's all I'm
hasn't
saying.
quit crying and gotten over it. I don't
I don't think I'll ever
understand.
quite get over that. No.
But I don't understand the advice that's being given here, my guy. Nah, I'm just pulling your leg,
Yeah,
man.
just
But
keep that same energy. That's all I ask. That's all I ask. And of course, Mahomes wins the MVP in this game. Two-time Super Bowl MVP, two-time league MVP, two-time Super Bowl champion. Um, you know, even still very young in his career, just an all-timer. I mean,
I think the
I'm curious
I,
how hungover he is today, or how
you went to
hungover he's gonna be the
Disneyland,
rest of the
bro.
week. But
Don't you know you went to Disneyland?
facts.
That's what he did.
getting hammered at Disneyland, dude.
And you get hammered at Disneyland?
I don't
I'm very
know. I
confident.
feel like you can, man. You have to be. Come on now. There's no way you can't get
I've never
hammered
been to
at
Disneyland. I've
Disneyland.
never been to Disney
I
World
haven't
either.
been, so I don't know. I was like, do they sell
I've
alcohol?
I've been to Disneyland, but that was when I was like 8. Like I don't remember, and I no was I paying like I wasn't paying attention to the alcoholic drinks that could be sold there. I mean, he went with his family, right? So,
Yeah.
You
dude,
so
that's crazy. Imagine winning the Super Bowl and then now you got to go change diapers at Disneyland. You're like, fuck, this is, well, yeah. Shitty situation.
that you hard or quick.
But anyways, glad for him, glad for the Chiefs. Chiefs won an all-time game. But let's go and move on to some Texas Tech basketball. There's also some really great news that's happened this past week. We kind of discussed a little bit of this over the Twitter Spaces that we've done, especially previewing the Texas game. But Texas Tech basketball pulls off back-to-back home wins versus top 25 ranked opponents in Kansas State and UT. Starting with the first one against Kansas State, 12th ranked Kansas State Wildcats came into the USA all confident, all high and mighty, especially knowing they had beaten the brakes off of Tech out there in Manhattan last time, and they left with the feeling of despair, as they should, as every team leaves the USA should. Texas gets the win 71-63. Let's go over some notable performances from Kansas State. Marquise Noel led the team with 18 points, 4 assists, 2 rebounds, followed by Desi Sills, 12 points, 1 assist, 4 rebounds. Naquan Tomlin with 10 points, 1 assist, 7 rebounds. Keontae Johnson with 9 points, 3 assists, 8 rebounds, and Abayomi Iola with 7 points, 5 rebounds as well. They really kind of shut down Keontae Johnson that game. They said, you know what? He's not going to beat us. You're going
Yeah,
to have to beat us with somebody else in this one. And I feel like they carried that same thing over into the Texas game, that same kind of momentum into that game, which is, temper is going to flare a little bit higher when you're playing a rival, but they kept with the same kind of formula as well, just taking away one certain player, saying, hey, somebody else is going to have to beat us. And I'm a fan of that. I'm a really big fan of that. No performances in that game from Texas Tech side. He had Davion Harmon, who had 20 points, 4 assists, and 3 rebounds. Lamar Washington, 13 points, 2 assists, 2 rebounds. Jalen Tyson, 11 points, 5 rebounds. Kevin O'Banner, 10 points, 6 rebounds. And Demarion Williams, 5 points, 2 assists, and 2 rebounds. Demarion Williams really is a great coming off the bench player, really kind of provides a lot of energy for this team. I believe I heard R.C. Maxfield saying on one of his spaces that he's a guy he basically, when he's on the court, he's a child that's jacked up on Mountain Dew. He just can't keep him still, man. He's gonna run around, he's gonna go everywhere. He's gonna do what he wants to do, and you just can't keep him still. And I love that kind of energy. I love what he brings to that. Any comments on the Kansas State game? Still talking about that one. Zuni, I know you get kind of confused when we do multiple games, so I'm pointing at you directly, not to air out your dirty laundry. But
hey,
we're talking about that game. Any comments, any final thoughts you got on the Kansas State game, my friend?
nothing that you hadn't already been said. It was a great, team win. It was cool to see, Harmon, of course, taking the initiative on offense. He's been the guy all season for us because every other guy has gotten hurt, so it sucks. But yeah, I mean, maybe we'll get Pop Isaacs quicker now that he's seen that we're doing good again. Maybe I don't know. But yeah, so that's cool. Everyone contributed, and it was a fun game. I'm happy we were able to take down a ranked opponent, and Keontae Johnson is a stud. So that's nice that we were able to contain him. And yeah, that's really my thoughts on it. Happy that we got that one because it had been a while. Like I said, I have been struggling, fiending, itching. I needed one for my mental health. I did. So
I think we
yeah.
all did. We all did at this point. Nestel, what about you, buddy?
I mean, everything that I pretty much had to say has already been said, but that win I feel kind of kickstarted, this momentum for us. So you just got to keep pushing, man. We got a chance.
We do, and I will get to that here in just a second. But yeah, Texas Tech knocks off 12th ranked Kansas State, as I'm sure everybody saw. Followed that up just 2 days later against the number 6 ranked Texas Longhorns, coming in to the USA and leaving with the same feeling of despair that Kansas State left with. They were feeling high and mighty. They were, uh, you know, feeling great they could get this dub, snatch this one from Texas Tech, beat little brother at their own house, because Tech lost to UT and Austin a little earlier today, only by 2 points. I might add you, only by 2. And yeah, that was not going to be the case this time around. So yeah, let's go over some notable performances in this game. Texas Tech gets the win over Texas 74-67. On Texas's side, yeah, you had Marcus Carr with 23 points, 6 assists, 2 rebounds. Dylan DeSue with 11 points and 9 rebounds. Tyrese Hunter, 9 points, 2 assists, 1 rebound. Serge Jabari Rice, and this dude's a freaking nightmare. I hate having to play this dude. I'm so glad we don't have to see this dude anymore, unless we get to the Big 12 tournament. With
That's
8
nice.
points, 2 assists, and 2 rebounds. And then Brock Cunningham, 7 points, 1 assist, and 2 rebounds, man. But yeah, I mean, they kind of did the same formula in this game where they said, look, it's either, Marcus Carr is going to beat us or nobody is. Like we're going to take away Tyrese Hunter. We're going to take away Sejabari Rice. We're going to take away all these other guys. Like it's either Marcus Carr beats us or nobody does. Or you have one of these role players like a Brock Cunningham or a Christian Bishop
Hmm.
that has to step up big in order to beat Texas Tech. But going over some Texas Tech numbers, Davion Harmon, man, just an absolute stud performance in this game. He was really the heart and soul that led Tech to get this win, this really much needed dub for the Red Raiders. He led the way with 25 points, 2 assists, 3 rebounds, followed by Kevin O'Banner with 19 points and 7
Yeah, Kev.
rebounds. Hell yeah. Hell yeah. And Fardas Amac, man, this dude has really made his presence felt, when he's on the court. Hasn't been on the court much this season, but when he has been, he has that presence. That's something that we've been missing for a while here. He ended up with 12 points, 3 assists, 8 rebounds. Jalen Tyson, 5 points, 1 assist, and 6 rebounds. He was really that spark that ignited what would be a great second half for the Red Raiders. And then Demaron Williams, as I mentioned a little earlier, 5 points and 3 rebounds in this one. This is back-to-back games that I've seen Texas Tech play complete games. They've played a complete 40 minutes in both of these games. Going to this one, man, Zuni, let's get your thoughts on this one, man. What was your reaction to it?
Yeah, this was obviously a fun game to watch. We took the lead early, and just kind of kept rolling with it. Obviously, we have Davion Harmon going off in the first half for like 23 points, so that was like
Yeah.
incredible. And he caps off the first half with a dagger of a three to kind of just like let them know, like, yeah, it's gonna be a doghouse today. It's gonna be a grind if they want to win. And sure enough, it was. As far as offensive performances go, Kevin O'Banner, clutch threes. It's kind of incredible how much easier it is to win a basketball game when you're shooting, more than when you're making more than like 30% of your 3-point shots. So that's always a nice thing to see because I feel like at time, I mean, we're the worst in the Big 12 at shooting threes, guys. I don't know if you know that, but statistically, we're the worst, and they were landing that game. So that was nice to see. We shot 50% from the clip, so that was exciting and just very complete game, like you were saying. So and as you were saying, everyone did well from the starters to the bench, and it makes me wonder how well we could have been doing had we found this chemistry a little earlier. But hey, we're winning now, I guess. Maybe we might get a ticket. Who knows? Got to win out, I feel like, to really get a guarantee.
I
But
hear my friend
yeah.
Nesto. What about you, buddy?
Um, I'm just really, I guess you can say, not kind of shocked, but relieved that once Texas started double teaming Davion Harmon after that first half, that we were still able to score, and they tied us a little bit there in the second half, thanks to Carr, but we found a way to just keep scoring. Yeah, Davion Harmon kept getting double teamed, and we just, whether it was O'Banner or Fardas finding, himself in the post, we just kept scoring, and we were able to push past that run by Texas late in the second half. So very good.
I bet it too, man. I mean, and I tweeted this out like, man, beating UT just it hits different. You know what I mean? It just hits. It tastes a little sweeter. It's always nice. And as someone who's born and raised in Austin, like I've grown up around Longhorn fans my whole life, and I hate it. I have family members who are UT fans. My dad's a diehard UT guy, although he is more on the to give him his credit, he is more on the realistic side. He's not as delusional as most UT fans are. And my brother is very much well on the non-delusional side as well. So he's very much, a very realistic fan as well. So I will give them their flowers, but still, it's always good to see Texas Tech upsetting Texas. And I can see why. And I believe I was listening to Ramblin' Raiders, their show last night, their live show last night on YouTube, and they're like, man, I can see why Austin hates Lubbock, man, because I can't seem to get a dub here. Just cannot seem to get a dub here. And I mean, I hate it too, man. That's why I hate Manhattan, Kansas. I just can't seem to get a dub there. So, I get that. But I'm gonna go ahead and list off the remaining games of this year. So we're 3-10 in Big 12 play, 14-12 overall record. This Saturday we gotta go on the road to take on West Virginia. Then we go on the road to take on Oklahoma. Then we come home to play 15th ranked TCU. Gotta go on the road, take on Kansas, and then we come back home to play Oklahoma State at the end of the year. So those 5 games, man. Where are some dubs that you see? Where are some potential L's, man? I want to know. Do you think we can really go on a run this past in the last 5 game stretch?
If we were really to consider that, to truly put that in the cards, and I honestly think the coaching staff is reminding them of this. Yeah, we guarantee wins that we have to. It's got to be both these next 2 games, no doubt. They're both at the bottom part of the conference, West Virginia and Oklahoma, so we can separate, away from them to be a part of that 8 that could possibly get into the ticket. So getting those 2 wins off top, it has to be guaranteed, in my opinion. TCU, KU. I think we have to steal one here. Either or. If we could steal one here, I think it'd be hard pressed to keep us out of the big dance. I really do believe that. The scary thing is,
I guess Zoom kind of froze up there a little bit. So we'll just go ahead and go over to you, Nesto. Let's get your thoughts, man. Final 5 going down stretch.
Well, kind of like to just go off of what Zuni was saying. I mean, the next 2 games are must-win games. You can't afford to lose any of them. And like how he was saying, we have to steal one. Kansas, TCU. It'd be great to get both, but from a realistic point of view, I can see us dropping one of those, even both of those. So it's just important to win against West Virginia and OU and Oklahoma State as well. You need those for sure. But I like the approach of taking this one game at a time, not get too ahead of ourselves, because if we lose this next game, you can just forget about it and just move on over to the Big 12 tournament, because that's your only hope at that point. It's winning the whole thing. So
yeah, I definitely understand that. Especially when you've lost all these guys already. Every opponent you're going to play down stretch, you've already lost them once. You know what they're about. You know what they can do. And thankfully you have that experience against them that you're going to carry into these games. West Virginia, a very tough environment. We don't really win there very much. Oklahoma, I feel like that's really going to be the game we're going to need to win on the road. And same goes for West Virginia. Realistically speaking, I mean, let's be real here. We're probably going to lose to Kansas and Fog Allen Fieldhouse. We've won there once in our entire history. Hard to think that we're just going to, march in there in an act of desperation and somehow secure a win over Kansas. I think they'll fight hard, but I don't think they'll come out with the dub in the end there. Now, TCU, you have to get this win. I mean, I always, it kind of reminds me, because TCU's coming as a 15th ranked team. And it kind of reminds me, because the only 3 conference wins we have in this in the whole season is against top 15 ranked opponents, and which is what TCU is. And it reminds me of the whole SpongeBob meme of like versus any other Big 12 opponent versus a top 15 ranked opponent, like SpongeBob ripped. It kind of reminds me of that. And so I think with TCU coming in here, looking to even up that series, we could definitely get that dub. And if we were to win the rest of them, I think it's hard pressed to keep us out. Either way, I think we're gonna need some help in Kansas City. Once we get out to Kansas City, I think you need to win at least one game in Kansas City to
Mhm.
be considered into March Madness. And I think if you're able to do that, you're still probably going to be a play-in team. You got to go to certain location, play against whomever is also trying to get in. Probably fighting for an 11 seed or a 12 seed at that point, which is fine. That's kind
But
of
you're
what I would
saying,
expect.
but you're saying there's a
But
chance.
there is a chance. You have an outside chance of getting into the NCAA tournament now. You just have to keep taking it one game at a time, one opponent at a time, and playing your hardest. Building
Yeah.
up on this chemistry. You can compete with anybody. I mean, hell, we were the last place team in the Big 12, and we just took down the first place team in the Big 12, which, by the way, knocked them back to third and moved us up to ninth, by the way. So we're no longer in last place. We are officially out of that basement.
Let's
So
go.
it's going to be important to win at least 4 out of these last 5. Oklahoma State, I feel like that's just a matchup nightmare for us, whether it be on the road in Stillwater or even at home. I feel like they do everything well that we don't do, like they can exploit that. So that one's gonna be a tough one, but I think it's definitely manageable, definitely a manageable victory there. And same thing with West Virginia on the road and Oklahoma on the road, who are kind of sitting at the bottom with us. TCU at home,
Mhm.
not even really worried about that one too much. Kansas is gonna be a loss, and Oklahoma State, we gotta
Kansas
take
is
care of
gonna be a
business.
loss. This guy. No, we're just gonna win out. Simple.
I mean, but
Simple,
if you
Straight
do,
up, we're gonna
simple.
win out. Simple.
if
Duh,
you beat,
dude. Yeah.
If
if
we
you
win
beat,
out, then
oh,
go ahead. I'm sorry.
I said if you beat Kansas, how hard will it be to keep you out though? Like,
Well, if you beat Kansas and TCU, but you lose the rest, I mean, you're still looking at bro, that's 4
I don't
top
know.
15 wins right there.
That's
Like,
still a bit of a
no, that's even
disappointment though.
4.
You
That's
can,
5. That's 5 top 15 wins right there.
yeah, but
But
you
then
didn't
at
win
the end
any
of
against
that,
the
you also
bottom
have
feeders.
those losses too that you have to contract with that. That
I
also coincide with that.
I
I'm
get what you're
just
saying. I think these next 2 games are must wins, plain and simple. All
Yeah,
of them are
absolutely.
must wins, but against West Virginia and Oklahoma, absolute must wins, in
well,
my
if I'm not
opinion.
mistaken, don't the like top 8 teams in the Big 12 go, or at least get a chance in the
Well,
bowl?
Maybe, maybe.
with because the Big 12 is by and large the best basketball conference in the country. This is no secret to anybody. It's the most competitive one in the country. So this conference could potentially go 9 deep. It could also go 8 deep or 7 deep, depending on, where they get selected at, depending on how impressed the committee is with, let's say, some lower ranked teams. And at this point, what you're looking at as a committee member, are you going to take an 8th Big 12 team or a 9th Big 12 team over a team, let's say in the WAC or in the Mountain West or the Atlantic 10, who is also having a really, really good season as well and is definitely deserving of a tournament bid? Are you going to go with one of these teams over here that are kind of at the bottom
Yeah, because
of their
people love
very tough
Cinderella
conference,
stories.
or are you going to go with another team that's also very deserving, which is where I think the play-in kind of comes into. So
That
you could potentially be fighting for an 11 seed in the tournament before you even get to being in the first round of the tournament. So either way you look at it, there's an outside shot, but it's not zero. Like the percentage is not
that's a
zero.
good way of saying it. That's a
Like,
good way of saying it.
yeah. So
Better than
that's
earlier this season when we thought there's just no shot at
Yeah,
all.
yeah, and you now have that. And I think a lot of that has to do with your freshmen really coming on this season. Guys like Lamar Washington and, of course, Popeye's been balling out. That's no secret. And then Robert
Mhm.
Jennings kind of coming in here. And then, of course, Jalen Tyson just completely taking off. These guys are no longer freshmen anymore. They're veteran guys at this point. You're 26 games in the season. You know the speed of this game. You know what you can and can't get away with. You're no longer a freshman at this point. You know how to play, especially with the minutes that they get on the court every night. They're gonna ball out, and they've really grown and matured a lot. And apparently, there's a conspiracy theory going on in Lubbock that Steve Green really has taken over the offense, and that's why it's looked much better over the last several games as opposed to earlier on in the season as well.
Hey man,
So
it's a coaching staff.
kind of,
It takes a
yeah.
team. It takes a team. So I mean, I don't know. Look, whatever they did to provide some spark to some of our offensive players is been working. So that's not. I mean, I've been begging all season for us to switch it up. So I wouldn't
Who
say all
hasn't?
season, right? So I'm just happy they're doing something. To be honest with you, so it's not surprising. I wouldn't look at it as like a scandalous report or anything like that.
Apparently, the report is that he's taken over the entire offense, and which hey, can't hurt. Like with
Can't
how
hurt.
bad you were. Like what are you gonna do? Get worse? Like okay, like
Like I said, we were last in the Big 12 in 3-point shooting, right? And somehow these past 2 games we've been making some shots. So maybe
yeah.
maybe it's worth. Maybe something's in the water, fellas.
But yeah, that's kind of our basketball talk we got for today. Of course, it's supposed to be a baseball preview, so let's go ahead and let's go ahead and move on with our other news updates that we have today. So just kind of briefly going over this one. We got some Pac-12 realignment news. With teams like Pac-12 reached out to teams SDSU, San Diego State, and SMU to join the Pac-12 conference. San Diego State, it makes sense to me why they would have meetings with them and have discussions. Nothing's confirmed yet that they are joining them, but definitely that's one that makes sense to me. But SMU really doesn't make a whole lot of sense here. You know what I mean? Like I understand you want to get a foothold in Texas and you want to take over that Dallas market, but when you really kind of consider other factors in there, I mean, SMU really does not have a base in Dallas. Like they're probably number 4 or 5 on the list in their own city, because you have UT, A&M, Texas Tech, TCU. I know the majority of Texas Tech's alumni base is actually located in the DFW Metroplex, but if you're in Dallas, you don't really root for SMU. I'd even say Oklahoma might have more of a presence in Dallas than SMU. What about you guys' thoughts though?
To be honest with you, it's more of like what's available. To be honest, like
Yeah, at this
that's
point,
kind of
within
how
the
I look at
Pac-12.
it. You know what I mean? What's available to the Pac-12 in Texas? Let's be honest there. There's a lot of, I mean, everyone's kind of doing their own thing as far as conferences go. Like what is it? San Marcos, which is the closest thing to Austin, which is, California haven for Californians. They go to Austin. So to me, I feel like that would have made more sense to them. I would have tried to snatch San Marcos personally or somewhere in that area, but like, like you're right. There's not really anything there for SMU fans, I guess, unless you're a diehard. I don't know any diehard SMU fans, if I'm being honest with you. I
Yeah,
think
I
you're right.
mean
They're
they're
probably
few and far between. Even if you go up in Dallas, like Dallas doesn't really mess with SMU all that much. Um, like there's
it's
more
its own
Tech fans, I
thing,
think,
but
in Dallas than
yeah, it's like
SMU. Like, and
Isn't
plus
UNC
you're
up
and there's
eh,
something wrong with being you're a
UNC. I feel
small
like UNC has a
private
bigger
Christian
presence.
university. That's what you are at your core. You don't like TCU, who's also a small private Christian university, but TCU, they've made,
Yeah.
a lot bigger waves than you have. And this is kind of funny to me, like how it kind of comes full circle whenever the Pac-12 kind of stuck their nose up to schools like Texas Tech and TCU, who were wanting to leave the Big 12 at the time because that the Big 12 was going to collapse with Texas and OU leaving. It didn't, and you invited 4 teams in that are going to keep this conference pretty stable for the time being. And I think the Pac-12 right now is pretty stable because you have Washington and Oregon still kind of there to hold the fort down a little bit. But those schools I think are kind of on edge. I think they're more looking to go to the Big Ten once they get that offer, along with USC and UCLA when they bolted. And so now, I mean, if you're the Pac-12, you're kind of hang on by a thread here. And it's not to say you didn't have the opportunity to expand your conference, not to say you didn't have that chance there. When time was taken, you could have added Texas Tech, you could have added TCU, you could have added BYU at the time. But now those schools don't want anything to do with you. And now they got schools in the Pac-12 are looking to bolt as well, like the Arizonas, Colorado, Utah. Those guys are looking for new homes right now. They're well, I wouldn't say looking for new homes, but they're definitely shopping around. You know what I mean?
Yeah, most definitely. I get what you mean by that. I don't know, man. The Pac-12 is weird. I think the Pac-12 will solely stay alive because it is that weird conference. Like a lot of those, I guess, schools wouldn't do well in other conferences but can sustain a level of success in the Pac-12 with revenue, while staying in the Pac-12. So I for sure get the USC and the UCLA one. I feel like Oregon, Washington would stay just so they could run it a bit, just so they could, I guess, have full control, leverage over the conference. Because as soon as those two teams go, I think it's all downhill from there. Like, what else is left
Yeah,
for them?
yeah, and I think
Maybe they could try to add like a Fresno State, try to, in the Mountain West, try to do that. That's a team that's been pretty all right in rankings. They stay ranked consistently. Maybe try to look towards Hawaii. I don't know.
well, and
Like
here's the thing though, in my perspective of with the Pac-12 having discussions with SMU, it's how the hell did Boise State get left out of a lot of these conversations? Like how? This is a team that
people,
has
they're still salty
consistently
about the turf.
been
That's what it's about, bro.
sure. I mean, the Smurf turf, whatever you want to call it, Boise
They're
State.
salty about the turf, bro.
But my question is like they've been the most consistent program at the group of five level for a long time. Even since 2000, I think they have the highest win percentage in college football. I don't know if that's still the way anymore. I think Alabama might have eclipsed them because they've kind of taken a bit of a turn here the last couple of years. But I mean, Boise State's a team that, when they play schools at like Florida State and they beat them. They play schools like Oregon State and they beat them. Washington State and beat them. They're a school that consistently plays quality. Even Oregon, they beat Oregon several years back. They schedule tough opponents and they beat them. They are always in the mix to win their conference. Even when they don't, they're at least playing in the championship game. They're always just such a good team, and they're very well built. They have a lot of culture around Boise State. I know the stadium's not big, but if you add a Pac-12 logo on there, you're gonna sell a lot more out. And I know Boise's not a phenomenally big market, but it's definitely growing. We can always like that. There's that bonus there, and plus geographically, it makes a lot of sense. And like how did they get lost in this translation? Like of all the Pac-12 alignment, how did they get lost out? So if I'm Boise State, I'm kind of
I don't.
mad that you're not being considered. Like, why is
Are you?
SMU being considered just because they have a big, obviously they're in a big market, but like, why are they being considered over us just because they're in a bigger market than us? So we're clearly the better team. We produce better results on the field, better win percentages. You know, it just doesn't make a
It's,
whole lot
it's,
of sense.
it's money
I
at the
know
end of the
it's
day,
a
Jonah.
money business,
It's
but like
it's
you
money. It's money
times
at
like
the end of the day.
I know, but you like to think at times like it's about quality over just money, but I don't know. Like I do feel for Boise
I
State.
mean, I just to give you a little light at the end of the tunnel, right? Maybe that'd be better for Boise State in the long run because they'll probably join like the Big Ten or something. And that'd be
Maybe
better competition anyways.
maybe we'll see what happens
So
there. See if Oregon and Washington can hold down the fort of the Pac-12. See if any other Pac-12 teams interested in
I feel
joining
like
us.
as long as California is a state, I think Pac-12 will be around. If I'm being honest with you.
And don't get me wrong, I think it's going to be important to secure the four corners right there. And I would love to have Oregon and
Mhm.
Washington in the Big 12 as well to join us over here. It seems I'd love to have Utah and the Arizonas and Colorado to come back over to the Big 12 as well. I would love that, and I'd even be fine with if schools like Iowa State or West Virginia, Central Florida, Cincinnati, if those kind of looked for newer conference homes. And then you just have the Big 12 be that, the Texas schools, Oklahoma State, the Kansases, Colorado, the Utahs, and then the Arizonas. You have like that kind of Big 12 area because that geographically that makes all the sense in the world, and it's really nice. You got 12 teams in there. instead of having like 16 in the Big 12. But you know, however it shakes out, I'm excited about it, because I think the Big 12 is not going to be done expanding anytime soon. And I think that's what a lot of these big SEC homers get at. Like the Big 12 is done expanding after, these 4 teams that are going to join this year and when UT and Oklahoma leave. And that's just not going to be the
Which they
case. Like
can't.
if there's anything I
Which they
know that
can't
if,
yet.
if there's
So
anything I know about Brett Yormark, he's not done expanding. He's not done. He wants to get the Arizonas. He wants to get Colorado. He wants to get Utah, and he's going to keep pushing for them. So it's not over yet, my friends. But that was kind of the last bit of football news I wanted to get to, and then I guess get into a little bit of basketball news here. Chris Beard's he gets the charges dropped against for domestic violence. Charges been dropped. He's expected to coach again. I wouldn't expect to see him next year, but he will eventually get back in the college coaching ranks. I have no doubt about that. There were a lot of funny tweets going around on Twitter. They're like, okay, where does Chris Beard go? Wrong answers only. And people say like Texas Tech. Like, no, he's not. Like he burnt every
he's not coming
bridge
back
here
to
when he
us.
left, and plus it's a really bad image for Texas Tech moving
Wouldn't
forward.
it be funny if he
They
became like
even
an Aggie?
having him. Yeah, that wouldn't surprise me either. That would
Be
not surprise.
hilarious if
I'd
he
say
became
school
an
like I don't
Aggie.
know
Gosh.
Iona, like when they hired Rick Pitino. But he is expected to get back in coaching ranks again. I don't really have much to say about this. So what about you guys?
That's pretty much yeah. Next question.
Next
So
question.
I'm just here so I don't get fined. Come on now. Like, come on.
Well, that leads us into one of our favorite segments of the week. Got our good vibes, vibe of the week, my friends. Either one of y'all want to take this one, or do you want me to go first?
Yeah, I got you.
All
So
righty.
men typically don't do this, right? Well, I wouldn't say typically don't do this, but we're just very notorious about holding on to things that have holes, and we just continue to wear them, such as our socks and or underwear. So my good vibes of the week, guys, is a new pair of socks. When you just put them on, you feel the cotton, you feel the polyester, you feel that 100% synthetic fiber, all in between, whatever you got going for the wool. It feels so nice, snugged on your toesy woesies, and it's just a good time. That's my good vibes vibe of the week. You should definitely get you a new pair of socks if it's been a while. Why not get a little jazzy and get one that has, I don't know, like sunflowers on it or something, or Pac-Man. I don't know.
I hear
Something
you,
that has a
man.
nice design. That's
You
my
feel
good vibes
fresh.
of the week, guys.
Really love you.
What about you, Nesto?
um, man, I had it, but he just made me laugh. I forgot. What was I gonna say? Oh man, you go first because I really forgot.
Well, kind of going back to Zuni's, man, especially like you mentioned underwear, man. It's always good when you put on that fresh pair. You always want to get the ones that can hold your boys. Like it's got that pouch, got that. It's not too
Hold your
snug.
boys.
It's a little bit
What
loose,
is
but it's got that, like that pouch right there.
Yeah, for
It's really
sure.
not. Yeah, I definitely feel you, man. Especially with the socks too. I definitely understand. I lose socks like crazy, so I'm constantly buying new pairs of socks. But yeah, I get you there, man. But my good vibe of the week is, I don't think it's really a surprise, anime. I mean, anime
Oh,
is
dude, what a
awesome, dude.
weave.
I have been,
what we
I don't even care, dude. Um,
What a weave.
if you know any of us personally, we're all pretty much all nerds. We're all comic book guys. We love Star Wars. We love anime. We love all that. I'm actually going to see Ant-Man later tonight as well. We're all big, nerds. You guys love, video games, all that stuff. You're all about that, and that's awesome. I love being a part of like two kind of worlds, the sports world, and then kind of got the entertainment world, the nerd world, if you will.
Yeah.
But yeah, man, just especially when, because I'm at the part in a certain anime, Bleach, where that big climax, when that big climax where you have the main good and the main bad, they clash against each other in like a final battle, and it just like it just hits, and that's exactly what happened here, man. It was such a good just such good to watch. And Bleach is one of those frustrating animes where they leave on such cliffhangers, dude. And it keeps you watching. You're just like, all right, last episode. Oh, I can't end it there. Let's get next episode. Okay, it's 4 o'clock in the morning, by the way. Next episode. Like you're just sitting there constantly like,
Been
I
there
can't just leave it there, man. And
Yeah,
but
yeah,
yeah,
I've been
big
there
shout
for
out. My
sure.
good vibe of the week goes to anime.
As binge watching anime, I get you, Jenna, for sure. So you gotta be disciplined. You do like 5 episodes and no more. That's basically
That's
a
hard though,
movie.
man. That's hard.
The anime is basically a movie, bro. 5 episodes. You gotta figure out a spot where it's a good enough cliffhanger where you're like, I should stop there.
Yeah. I need to do a better job at that. That's definitely something I need to work on. Work on that in the off season.
Don't worry, it took years of experience of figuring out. Okay, this is the story beat where it's about to be that final clash. Let me
Yeah.
wait here because it's already 2:30 in the morning. I would rather be well rested and watch a really cool like fight as opposed to just like half eyes awake
Yeah.
left and right.
Yeah.
So that's
I
just
never
me.
like
But
I'm never let's say I'm never tired. Like when I get like I'm just hooked in the story. I'm just like, oh shit, it's getting real now. Damn. You
sometimes I
know?
get a little sleepy. Well, that's because part of it is because well, you have the luxury of Bleach of being able to watch it in English. I don't know if you do or not, but like sometimes my eyes get tired while
Yeah.
reading, man. I'm like I need to close my eyes real quick. They're a little tired.
And I get
They
you, I
they
get you.
working when I watch anime. So
So
Glad to see
Nesto,
we
do you
go.
remember yours, man?
Yeah, I remember mine. I'm just glad with this to see that we go through all the same struggles here.
Absolutely. It's a community. It's a communal struggle.
My good vibe of the week is sugar scrubs. Um, I have this watermelon sugar scrub, man, that I use for my skin, and I end up smelling so good, and my skin becomes so soft. It takes off the dead skin off your skin, obviously, and yeah, it's amazing. You should try
a
it.
sugar scrub? What is this?
So,
Where do I find this?
like, they're like in little jars. You just your local HEB, Walmart.
Hmm.
They have different,
Okay.
I want to say flavors, scents.
Does it have like a rocky sensation on your skin when you
It's,
scrub it
it's
on?
like it's like sugar. It's like it feels like sugar. It's like if you were to grab sugar and just like scrub it against your skin.
Mmm.
Yeah, and so you get like an exfoliator and you like scrub it against your skin to make your arms like really soft. And I use it on my
Yeah.
like that, and bro, it's really good.
I'm gonna have to try this next. I
Boy,
tried Prime
Nesto
last
smelling
time
like a
because you talked about
snack.
it. And that was pretty good. He do be smell like a whole ass meal, bro. Pizza and meatballs. I don't
Very good
know.
smelling, man. But
No,
yeah,
but
I
I
guess
tried I
that'll
tried Prime last time, Nesto, because you had said it for your good vibe. So and it was pretty good. I
oh
enjoyed
yeah,
it
I've mean
quite
to
a
try
bit.
that as well. Mean to try that as well.
It's pretty good. The lime one was heat. I really enjoyed the orange one. Kind of reminded me of a try them cold though, I will say.
Oh yeah. I forgot to say that. Try 'em cold. Do not drink it hot. It is not the same experience.
It's not.
Doesn't hit as well. Gotcha, man.
Doesn't hit as well. No.
All right, well, I guess I'll go ahead and conclude our good vibes vibe of the week now. Officially getting into the baseball preview, little baseball preview segment that we have here. I know it's taken quite a while to get to this point, but here we are, guys. Yeah, so Texas Tech baseball kicks underway tomorrow against Gonzaga at home there at Rip Griffin
Three
Park at Dan Law
three game
Field.
series.
A lot of a lot of really exciting hype that's been built up for the last this past off season. I'm super hyped about this season. Game starts at 1 p.m. I'll be definitely tuning in to watch that game. And on this segment, we were originally going to. What I was trying to get just a guy who knows a lot more about Tech baseball than I do, and kind of go over discussion, do a little interview with him, and he will come on the podcast in the next couple weeks. Still trying to figure out when a good time, good schedule it is. That is our guy Keith Patrick of the Dinger Derby podcast, hosts the Dinger Derby podcast, and he created the Red Raider dugout for Texas Tech baseball team. He is completely kind of immersed in one sport. Obviously, baseball is not the only sport he pays attention to when it comes to Texas Tech, but it's definitely the one that he is the most well versed in, and he's really the guy. He's really the go-to guy for fans and everybody. So if you guys do yourself big disservice if you're not following this man Keith Patrick or Redder Dugout on Twitter. Definitely the guy you're going to want to keep up with. So big shout out to him. Excited to get him on the podcast in the next couple weeks. And he had a really good three-piece article or three-part article on his website, Redder Dugout. Kind of taking a look into this new season. So, and a lot of this is kind of going to draw from that. I definitely did get a lot of more information after having read that three-part article. And I mean, he definitely knows how to get you excited, and he's definitely very well versed. So can't wait to get him back on the pod. And but yeah, let's go ahead and dive into this baseball preview, man. This is kind of where the part of the year where I'm going to take over a lot of the good conversation, majority of the conversation. Like, football, it's kind of all of us talking a lot about it. And then basketball, I kind of leave it up to you guys. This is probably where I'm going to step in at a lot more, do a lot more talking. But, what to expect on this season. So you lose 20 guys last year, whether it be to the MLB, guys left early from MLB, guys who graduated out, or to the transfer portal. You lose 20 guys in that. Flip side of that, you also return 20 guys as well. Obviously, the guys that you lost are pretty, significant pieces. Guys like you lost your entire starting pitching rotation. Chase Hampton, Brandon Birdsell, Andrew Morris. All those guys are gone this year. So you're replacing. You have a brand new bullpen and a brand new weekend rotation going on. So that's going to be interesting to see how it plays out, especially in the first series of the season. The starting pitching lineup has been, or the weekend rotation, I should say, has been announced by Tim Tadlock himself. Starting on Friday will be Kyle Robinson, and then Saturday Mason Molina, Sunday Bo Blessy, and Monday is still kind of to be determined. Guys like Brendan Gurton becoming more involved, starting to circle around. Trenton Parrish and Tabor Fast. All those guys were mentioned by Tim Tadlock as potentially being either rotational guys like relief pitching or closers or even potential midweek starters as well. So, before I kind of dive a little bit further into this, I kind of want to get y'all's take on the season, what you guys are expecting, about, this really big challenge, because we always say like, oh, Tim Tadlock, he doesn't rebuild, he reloads. This year might be his biggest challenge yet, in my opinion, but I still want to get y'all's takes on what to expect this season. Start with you, Sunny.
Yeah, we did lose a lot of guys, and it's going to be a lot of youth, I guess, playing into this baseball season. But I mean, we did get the Big 12 Freshman of the Year last year, and Hunter and Hudson. This group of guys isn't talented, so I was checking out the preseason rankings for baseball this year, and right now Tech's at number 3, so we're expected to compete this year in baseball, so that's always a welcome sign. And I mean, we usually do well, but yeah, just piggybacking off of it, it is going to be that we have some seniors, right? We have like what's his name, like Ty Coleman, I think he's a senior. He could lead the pack this year, but it's a lot more young, a lot more youth. But I am excited to see where we go because we're still rated fairly highly, and we did have a lot of people on the All Big 12 preseason team as well. I think we were
You're turning
what,
out
number
three
3 as
guys
well
there.
on that. I think we
Yeah.
sent three players, and yeah, I think, and all the guys I mentioned right there, all 3 of them are part of the Big 12 preseason ranking squad. So I mean, that's something to look forward to. We have talent, and I'm excited to keep up with baseball this season. To be honest with you, because in years past, I usually just waited till we got to the World Series because it was kind of a given. But this season is a bit of a, I don't want to say it's a bit of an enigma, but there is more coaching that's going to be involved at play here. You know what I mean? Where in years past, we could kind of rely on people to kind of just, ball out how they've been balling out this year. It's kind of a new faces, a new turnaround. So I'm excited to see where it goes.
Same here, man. What about you, Nesto?
What about you, buddy?
Well, when it comes to baseball, I am not barely learning the sport. Like I just have been paying attention to it for like the first time, and like I guess like 3 years ago. So I'm kind of like excited to get into baseball and like learn different things about it, if that makes sense.
Yeah, yeah, definitely.
So I'm kind of just gonna, you know, on baseball, just learn, see what I can learn. Because I mean, I really don't know everything about baseball. I just know some things.
Yeah, you're a big
It's a chess
Atlanta
match,
Braves fan, I
essentially.
believe.
Yeah, I'm a big Braves
Braves
fan.
fan. Yeah.
Like, yeah, like I really started paying attention like in 2020, 2019.
Yeah. I get you, man. I get you. I've been a Royals fan for a while now, and you know,
For a
really
while
had
now.
much to
You
yeah,
want to say why you're a Royals fan, Jonah?
because my dad's from
Oh,
Kansas City. I have a family up
sure,
there. Yeah, that's why.
sure.
That's why.
That's why.
That's the truth. That's the reason. You know, I do like Kansas City Royals.
Not a
Haven't really had
certain
much to cheer
certain
about over the
quarterback
last
having,
several years, but hey, that's why I turned to Tech baseball to make up for the Royals lacking in the happiness category for myself. But you know, getting into Tech, sticking with Tech baseball, let's go ahead and dive right into their schedule. As I mentioned, they start off with Gonzaga. They do a 4-game series with Gonzaga Friday through Monday. Oh yeah, I was gonna mention the RPI. I wanted to get into a lot with the RPI. This is really what kept Tech from being a potential host team last year when we could have hosted a regional to barely even making the tournament, barely even making the postseason. We were out there in Statesboro, in Georgia Southern as the host. We ended up beating Georgia Southern, but we lost to Notre Dame. Notre Dame came out of that regional with the dub, and they were and Georgia Southern was the 16th ranked team that ended up hosting. They were number 16, and we were the third seed in the number 16 bracket. So we barely made it, and a lot of that was due to the new RPI rule. So, and if you don't know it, that's the rating percentage index. One is Division One winning percentage is 25% of it. Opponents Division One winning percentage is 50% of it, and opponents Division One winning percentage is 25% of it. So it gets kind of kind of interesting there. And Tech did not do well when it came to RPI, and that's really what kind of led to that seeding and being placed in that particular regional. Now, a lot of that can be due to, hey, you got to play and schedule tougher opponents. Scheduling, Grand Canyon, who we will see this year in the middle of the week, and then losing those games. It's not really going to do you any favors. And we did a better job at scheduling a lot tougher opponents, as I'm going to get to here in a minute. But now it's Texas Tech's job to do their part. Like, you have to go out and win these games. Like as schedule makers, they can only do so much for you. Like, you have to go out there and you got to win these ball games as well. So start off with Gonzaga, 4-game series. Do another 4-game series with Western Illinois, 2-game series with Air Force. That'll be an interesting one. Those academies are always very well disciplined teams, and you never really know kind of these anomalies, especially when it comes to baseball. And then you head to the Shriners Children's Classic there in Houston at Minute Maid Park, where you're going to take on Rice, Michigan, and Texas A&M. Would love it if Tech came out with 3 dubs in the in that weekend series there. That would really kind of I wouldn't say carry their season, but it would definitely go a long way as far as when it gets to the postseason and when RPI really does kick in. And then you play New Mexico in midweek game. Schedule, you have a 3-game series against Iowa that starts on my birthday, March 10th, and then on Friday, Saturday, and Sunday, 3-game series with Iowa there in Lubbock. And then you play UC Arlington, and then you have a Big 12 play against Oklahoma State. Right there in the middle, you got 3-game series with middle Big 12 play. You got 3-game series with North Dakota State, and then you play 2-game series with Stanford out there in Palo Alto. That one's gonna be an interesting one. I'm really rooting for Texas Tech to get those. I think those are gonna be really, really important. And those wins at Stanford and against Iowa, I think we're gonna go a long way in Big 12, or go a long way as far as postseason seeding goes. And then you kind of wrap it up with Kansas at home and in Lubbock. This is kind of weird. It's like usually Kansas like the last team we play a lot. I've noticed that. That's like we tend to play them whenever we play them in Lubbock. we always tend to play them at the end of the year. I've always kind of found that to be a little bit interesting, but I think the schedule is going to be a little bit tougher this year for you, as to be expected. And now it's just time for you to go out and do your job. You know what I mean? You guys got any thoughts? Anything you want to say? Any comments about the about Texas baseball schedule? And I do plan on attending several baseball games, whether they be in Houston or the UT series, which is actually going to be here in Austin. Probably going to be out there. And I always like to go up to Lubbock for at least one baseball game or one or two baseball games a year. So
Mhm.
let's get back to you guys, man. You got any thoughts on the schedule?
Nah, just take it series by series. I'm looking forward to this Gonzaga one though, so that one should be fun. And yeah, I'm excited. I can't wait to see how well we do in these 4 games. It should be a nice not wake me up, but a telling sign of how this team is going to function throughout the season.
I would agree, man. I would
So
agree
yeah,
with that.
excited to see.
Nesta, you got anything, buddy?
I'm just excited to actually pay attention to college baseball for once. I mean, because I've kept up with it before, but now I can actually like watch it and understand it.
Yeah, especially if you have ESPN Plus, it's really easy to watch. That's what majority of the games are going to be on, anyways. Except for the Shriners Children's Class, that
Mhm.
might be on like Bally Sports Southwest or something. Which I don't have. I'm going to be sad if I can't go to the game, nor can I watch it. That would suck. Hopefully,
It's
make
called
that not happen.
Squeeze.
Bally Sports is
I
going
don't
bang.
endorse.
Who knows if we would even able to watch it anyways.
That's true. That's true. Um, But yeah, I wanted to kind of get into the projected starting lineups that we have for this game in no particular order. I'm not gonna list them like
Mm.
1 through 9. Like, hey, this is gonna this is gonna be the 1 hole, 2 hole, 3 hole. Like, I'm not gonna do that. I'm just gonna list hey, who's gonna be out on that field tomorrow afternoon at 1 p.m. So I'm starting from left field. Left field Drew Woodcocks. I think he's going to get that start there as a left fielder. Saw a little bit of him last year. I think he's really made strides in the offseason, and hopefully he, carries that momentum. He was talked about a lot, raved about a lot in the offseason. I expect him to play well this year. We'll see how we can do in we'll see how his batting average is. I think that was really kind of a knock on him. Same thing with center fielder Dylan Carter, who I also have as a projected starter as well. He really needs to take that step as a batter. He's not doesn't have a great batting average, doesn't have a great on base percentage. Surprisingly though, he never really got struck out too much, which I think is kind of a good thing. He always went it was like a fly ball, something like that. It was a ground out, fly out, whatever it may be. But he definitely needs to work on becoming a better batter. He's a really good outfielder. Obviously, we've seen a lot of highlights. He was on ESPN's top 10 last year with a highlight grab that he had in center field. This dude he's a stud on the defensive side, but that's only going to carry him so far and only going to help the team so much on that end. So really needs to do his part and to get on base, string together some hits. Next, got the returning starter Owen Washburn. Great freshman outing. No real surprise there. Next, catcher Hudson White. He's returning starter as well. Expect him to take the next step as a hitter. Both those two were freshmen last year and are, gonna have in my opinion, hopefully kind of be those leaders on the team this year. Kind of take that step as towards being a leader. And then you got first baseman. I got Gavin Cash there. Second baseman, I'm gonna go Tracer Lopez. I think he'll get the start at second base. Shortstop, I'm gonna go Will Burns. Third base, Kevin Basil, and designated hitter Ty Coleman. So yeah, that's really who I got in my starting lineups as well. Then of course, as the starting pitching rotation, the weekend rotation has been dished out this past couple days, past Wednesday, I believe, is when Tadlock announced it. And so yeah, that's really what I got for baseball this year. Also, I want to point out in Keith Patrick's article on Ritter Dugout, what I didn't know last season is that a lot of guys are playing with some injuries. They end up really having to rely on them guys like Jace Young, Cole Stillwell, and Parker Kelly. Those guys were really battling some injuries last season, but because you didn't have the depth, they had to play through those. This year, what he pointed out in his article is that Tech has a lot of depth at these positions, so you can give guys a night off. You can give them more adequate time to recover, as opposed to last season when it's like, hey man, sorry, but you got to play through this. So I think that's what's gonna maybe carry Tech a long way. Which is kind of all I got as far as baseball is concerned. I know this is a kind of a shortened preview, but like we said, we're trying to get Keith Pasher to be on the podcast. He would have had a lot more insight about this than I would, and I'll be excited about because it's going to be second interview I've done on this podcast, which hopefully I do a good job as an interviewer. But yeah, he's gonna have a lot more information on you, and I'm sure we're gonna find out a lot more about this team once we see them play against Gonzaga and once the series is over and done with, which should be 4 straight dubs, hopefully for us. But yeah, man, I can't wait to get him on. You guys got any final thoughts about this one before we go ahead and move on to other segments?
No, just pretty much yeah, everything you said. I agree with my good dude. Yeah, just let's get it going. Let's see how these players step up this year.
Hell yeah, man. Daddy Tatty leading the way. Gonna start that bus to
Daddy
Omaha tomorrow.
Tatty.
What about you, Nesta? Got anything?
No, man. No, sir.
Sweet. Do you have any trivia for me, Zune, or are we skipping that?
Yeah, I got a baseball trivia for you. I mentioned it on
Okay.
earlier that so our boy Hudson White, right, he earned the Big 12 Freshman of the Year this past season. So Jonah, can you name me the last Red Raider to do that, and what year was it? Let's see.
Freshman of
You're
the year?
welcome to take part as yes. You're also welcome to take
Um,
part in that stuff if you'd like to take a guess. But as
was
you
that
said
Gabe Holtz?
earlier, you're still learning.
Was it Gabe Holt?
That would actually be correct. Yeah. Do you know what year though?
Uh, 2019? 2018.
That was close. Ah, there it is.
2018. There we go.
Look
Because
at
I know
Johnny Young. Everybody
Josh
having this
Young won it the year
obscure.
before too.
He did. You went the year before. He did. So can you tell me what number Hudson White was? Because we've had quite a bit of earners.
What number?
Yeah.
Oh shoot, I don't know.
Ooh.
5, 6?
6. He's been the 6th Red Raider to
Oh,
win
nice.
that award in Big 12. So yeah, pretty cool.
Hell yeah.
We've had some recent winners and get one in this decade. So let's keep the trend going.
I'm gonna add, like, this is the first time in 6 years we haven't had a young brother on the team. And we all knew what those guys could carry as far as offensive hitting percentage goes, and getting some homers and just hitting dingers, and then of course being studs on the defensive side as well. So, it's their presence will be missed. They do have some did leave some big shoes to fill. So hopefully we can we do our best to fill them, and hopefully start this bus to Omaha, man. I mean, I feel like we do have I feel like pitching has kind of been iffy the last couple years, which is part of the reason why we haven't made it to Omaha in the last couple seasons. But this year, I feel like we've kind of taken a step back, analyzed it, coached a lot better, and I feel like pitching might actually be one of our strengths this year. So that's just my opinion, though, and we'll definitely see how it looks, moving into later on the season, and hopefully I don't come back to regret that. The way that Tech basketball made me kind of come back and regret some shit I said on there earlier. So
You're telling me I said Tech basketball was going to lose 5 games, man. Jesus.
yeah. But any final thoughts before we go and wrap this one up, y'all?
Nah. Shout out my cat. Love that little dude, that little fluffy bastard of hair.
Hell yeah. Hell
Yeah, that's pretty much it. Aaron Rodgers to the Jets. You heard it here first.
That just doesn't look good.
Probably. I don't know if I like the trade, but I mean,
Hey, a
it's
fan can dream,
better
right? A
than
fan can dream.
what we
But
have. So
if that's it, you guys, I
I
just want to
suppose. But
thank
yeah,
y'all
that's
so
it for
much
me,
for
guys. Yeah.
All right, I just want to thank y'all so much for tuning in. Really appreciate you guys listening. Remember to keep the vibes high, the guns up. For Nathan Zuniga and Ness Martinez, I'm Jonah Young saying so long. I'll see you next time here on the Lone Raider Podcast.
Bye-bye.